Yeah, this is thoughts on silicone 2, because in the last video I got very, very confused, and silicone itself is used to make silicon, which makes very little sense, but oh well. And to make silicon, well, to make silicon effectively, you need all these weird machines that do the mob grinders and whatever. And you make all kinds of weird silicon organic compounds, and they are used then to make the silicon, and it's a whole involved process. With it also needs hydrofluoric acid and whatever, and I just got confused and thought that these machines are part of the silicone manufacture, but they are not. They actually use silicone. So sorry for that. Here is hopefully better version of that video. Here is a short thing that I just thought about in regards to automation. This whole time, the silicon compound and silicone making has been running on this box of coal blocks. It's a bit over half done. These coal blocks were crunched in here. I semi-automated this by just throwing in a whole bunch of crushing gears. I went through, I think, 2 sets of crushing gears so far. They went crushing coal. They are fast. I go with minimal concentration, so I get maximum coal slurry per. I quite often had to empty these out. So that was a thing. Then I used one gasification plant and had that. You can share gas inputs and outputs. I had this thing then hooked up to a gas purifier, which spits out purified syngas and coke compound, I think. And then just routed the syngas into one gas holder for the reforming controller. And the other thing is just water vapor, which I made with another gasification plant, which just gets water inserted and puts out water vapor with some buffering due to 2 tanks. So what was it, like 2 gasification plants, 1 purifier and 1 reformer, and 1 mineral sizer, which you need anyway, and a slurry pond. So just by adding water and coal, you get everything you need to make methanol, which is 1/2 of chloromethane. The other half is hydrochloric acid. You can make hydrochloric acid 2 ways. You can use chloride compound and throw sulfuric acid on it, which I did right on top here, and water, and you just get out hydrochloric acid. And toxic waste, if I can remember correctly. Toxic waste you get from most of these processes. Sulfuric acid is a good way to get rid of your sulfur compound, and you will need some vanadium dust or vanadium ingots. For that you will need to have a few minerals sized later on. But in the beginning, there's a second way to get hydrochloric acid, because you need ammonia anyway, and you need to craft one bit of ammonium chloride once, and then you can multiply the ammonium chloride compound. And from that you get ammonia as well as hydrochloric acid. And you need both of these, so you just build one lab oven and have it constantly making that. So I made liquid ammonia from ammonium chloride, and I still have ammonia left over from that. The hydrochloric acid I just used in there, and that's a very useful production line. Then you will need something, a retention vat, to deal with the leaching from your mineral processing, and you will need another gasification plant that needs to be constantly on to turn the toxic waste you get, as it's coming here from on top, into usable minerals. You get mostly fly ash compound, and you get flue gas. You can use flue gas for some things. You can also just vent it. It doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. For other things, you might want to make cyanide or something like that. I chose to have sodium hydroxide for some reason to be constantly produced, but that's not necessary. I made this little thing. The interface is of course down here. The metal alloy. This will get quite a bit of use. It's convenient to make metal alloys in here, and for a while you needed vapor deposition chamber just to get to silicon nitride ingots. Later on you can... I don't use this anymore. This is not a useful thing, and I will take it apart soon. There were quite a few other machines in this space that I took apart, as well as here and here. I had a whole oxygen purification line. I still have gas expansion chamber to make gaseous ammonia from liquid ammonia, which I don't use anymore. I could just take it apart, but I'm too lazy. I made nitric acid, and I now retooled the reformer to make more methanol. And I have one more purification gas purifier to make flue gas. I'm not quite sure why. It's not that useful, but I think it's always handy to be prepared. So I just made that. And I will say that my build was... I built way more than I needed to. I used this mineral extractor way more than I needed to. Um, you can definitely get away with much less investment into rock counting machines. I did it mostly because I wanted to. Because I think rock counting is an interesting mod and I wanted to see what I can do with it, and I wanted to have pretty much the whole periodic table of elements complete. So I pretty much went for all of the minerals and I just let it run. And I still have pretty much a whole chest of gang left over that serves no greater purpose. So you need to build a few rock counting machines, but you don't need to build that many. And you don't need to input that much if you are building it up closely to your crystal matrix reactor. And as soon as you have a crystal matrix reactor running and have some silicon, then this gets a whole feedback loop, and your the creation of more silicone becomes easier. It's still time consuming because these processes don't produce a lot for production, and you should invest in mineral extraction just to make the better upgrades. But with better upgrades you also need much more power, so you need to keep that in mind, and you can grow your rock counting section slowly. But you don't have to. There are... Once you just have the raw basics, then you're basically fine. There are no necessary amounts of machinery. This is excessive, and I built it this way because I wanted it to look kind of cool. And I'm sure there are easier ways to automate it, but keep in mind I made this build before in chapter 6 there was AE, or was it chapter 7? Yeah, chapter 7. I made all of this build before the easy AE2 was added to the game. I was about the small plate presser, something around here to the end when AE got added, AE2 got added with an update. So now if you're playing this, you can, I think, make better builds with AE2 with the basic tools you're given. And yeah, kinda lost my train of thought here. So basically you need some rock hounding. You should build a few duplicate machines just to save time. Then you can also just not build servers. I have, I think, one server that I used to satisfy the auto builder here, because the planning table, because it wants a server for pretty much every machine. But then in general use, I don't use a server on any of these machines, and you don't need to either, because servers are very expensive. And these machines work without them. So don't panic. And if you want to make your rock hounding build as compact as possible with as few machines as possible, okay, go for it. Use a server. That's fine too. You have to pay more upfront, but you probably can use the machine time more effectively, because with my setup, many machines are just constantly on, but don't produce that much, and my buffering system definitely could be much better, because there is wasted productivity that could be used by the machine. So whatever you do, as long as you feel you made a cool machine, that's fine. You don't need to copy me or one of the others. The important bit is that you're happy with your setup, and if you are in the Discord, show us, or if you do, go to the Discord, show us your setup, and tell us why you did it. We definitely all are in it to learn something new. Alright, everyone. That's it again. See ya.